This is my video response to Brie Bishop's "What Impact Has Potter Had on Your Life?" And that's kind of a loaded question for me because it's had a huge impact on my life. It's actually hard to know where to begin. I just started the 6th grade. I was about a month into school, and it was a mess. It was a new building, and we were the first 6th grade in the new middle school, and, so we were guinea pigs, and we suffered for it. It was a mess, but, about a month into school, my grandfather, my Saba, passed away from cancer, and I'd been very close with him, and it was really a tough blow. And not to mention the fact that I missed about a week and a half of school because we had to go to Israel for the funeral, and, coming back and having to catch up and totally not being in the right state of mind for things made it really hard. So, but it must have been, the day I came back, or shortly after, where my humanities teacher, Miss Berger, who, this is the only thing I have to thank her for, gave me a copy of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And my mom came to pick me up from school, and I had just opened the book. I just got it in my hands, and I opened it up and started reading the first page. And I walked home the 6 blocks to my house, and the whole way I was just reading the book. And my mom was like, "You're crazy, you're going to get run over," but I didn't care. It was something to get lost in, I guess. But I loved it. I finished it in about 3 days. So my parents, they went out and got me Chamber of Secrets, and I was so happy, and I finished that in a day. And my parents were furious because, they thought they would have a little more time before they had to run out and get me Prisoner of Azkaban, even though they said when they handed Chamber of Secrets to me, "This is the last Harry Potter book we're getting you, they're too expensive." So I went to the library and got a copy of Prisoner of Azkaban, and I finished that immediately. And, of course, this was still 1999, so I had quite a while before Goblet of Fire came out. And I remember having the poster in my locker, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, July 8th, 2000, and I was so excited for this book. Like, I remember waiting for Goblet of Fire. Not many people can say they remember that. But I loved it, and I kept rereading the first 3 books over and over, and I fell in love with it, and, eventually Chamber of Secrets became my favorite Harry Potter book, and I think it is to this day. It might tie with Order of the Phoenix. I love them both, but I was just hooked, completely hooked, and I remember reading Goblet of Fire, sitting in my grandfather's chair in Israel, reading Goblet of Fire, and crying, and coming to my parents afterwards and trying to explain to them what it meant that Voldemort was back. They didn't care, but, I didn't think he was going to come back till book 7 at the time, so it was quite a shock for me. But the books, the books have always been there, and, they've always been there to get lost in if I just needed to get lost in something. And, I was never a big fan of the movies. I liked them, and I went to go see all of them, of course, but, for me it was always the books. But anyway, where it really starts to change, where everything starts to change, is November of 2005, the Goblet of Fire premiere. I went to the Leaky Mug podcast, and for those of you who were there or who have listened to it, I was the token Harry-Hermione shipper. Still am. Still am. I don't care what anybody has to say. I know it's not going to happen, but I like it. Anyway, so that's kind of where it all started. I went there because I wanted to make Harry Potter friends, because I didn't really have any. It was always just kind of my thing. So I went, and I met a few people, namely Chaya Coppersmith and Eric Skull, who are my first Harry Potter friends, and, I love them dearly, and it pretty much all took off from there. That's when I started getting into the fandom. Up until then, I'd only been on the websites to read editorials or theories or stuff, and check news, but now I was really into the fandom, and I started to talk to people and make friends, and I went to other events, and I met Jackie, who is one of my best friends in the world. She's an incredible person, and I would not have her in my life if not for Harry Potter, and I'm so glad that I do. So that's a great thing that I have. That's a great impact. And it kind of all started from there. I went to, well, I live in New York, so I went to all of the events in New York over the summer, and I met so many people. I met basically the entire MuggleNet staff and Leaky staff, and I made friends with them, and they're some of my closest friends. I love them, and not just them, but other people that I've met in the fandom. Some fantastic people exist here that, you know, we're all so different. We live in different places. Nobody has the same life, and yet we all have this one thing that ties us together. And, you know, sometimes when I feel like my, real life friends, aren't understanding me or available to me, my Harry Potter friends are always there, and they're so loyal, and they just get me, I think, in a way that, other people don't. So there's that huge impact. It's the people. And I'm so excited for the summer to finish it off with the best people in the world. It's a huge impact. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I can't believe I got all that out. Like, Harry Potter's become my world. And I know that it's hard for a lot of people in the world to understand that it is such a big deal, that it's not just a book, but it's a world. But it is, and it's a world where I've always felt welcomed, and I think that's the biggest impact of all. So, I hope you all got something out of that. I did too. This is a cathartic thing. I think we should all do this now. Thank you, Brie Bishop. Bye-bye.